Hi everybody, welcome back to the Educated Colin Snap channel. How you doing? So I got to try DC Dual Force today. Yesterday I didn't have access, but today I did get to try, and I wanted to make a first impressions of the game, just like blah blah blah. From a Marvel Snap channel, I was getting a lot of people asking about it, and here you go. So first of all, they're getting so much free promotion from content creators here with this streamer weekend. It's like exactly what you want to do if you want free promotion, essentially, right? Just make it exclusive and then give it to some streamers, and the streamers talk to each other, and then boom, it's a whole big thing. Good, good on them for doing that. But yeah, apart from that, when it comes to the game itself, I would say it's very different from Snap. It's significantly more similar to Hearthstone than Snap in any way. If you come for Snap for quick gameplay, if you come for Snap for like pick up and play mechanics, you're really not doing that here. There's 40 decks, 40 cards in a deck, and the games can be particularly long if your opponent is drafting like a fairly standard non-aggressive deck. And if you're just like, hey, I like Snap, will I like DC? There's really no reason to think that because you like Snap, you'll like DC Dual Force. It's really a completely different game. So um, that's something you definitely want to get out of the way. If you do like card games generally, like I come from a card game background, if Snap's your first card game, this might be like, ooh, this is very different. But if you do come from a card game background, then I can definitely see you enjoying some of the mechanics in this game, things like that. The double leader is very Legends of Runeterra esque, but the general gameplay is you do something, your opponent does something. There's not really reacting to what your opponent can do. That's something like Runeterra has, where you do something, you can react. You can't really do that. You just have your turn, kind of similar to Hearthstone, etc. And the mana is also very similar to Hearthstone. It's interesting in that unless you're doing something different, you can really only play 2 cards per turn. That is something that I think not a lot of games have that mechanic that kind of limits you in such a meaningful way. But it is something in here about the game. The game itself is nice. I would say the art direction can be hit or miss depending if you like the comic book style or not. I really don't watch comic books, so I really have no appreciation, I would say, for that particular style. I'm just like, does it look cool or not? Like I don't really care where it comes from, and I would say it's okay. It could, like, maybe some characters could be um, revamped, because it does seem like they take it from comic books scenes or so. So I wouldn't mind them making original art for some of the characters that look a little bit weird. So that is something there. That's definitely a preference thing, and it doesn't really matter. I would say like the main gripes that I kind of had was like some of the bugs. So I had a number of bugs, and I hope they fixed a lot of them. But I had some bugs where I couldn't end the turn. Had some bugs where I couldn't attack. Had some bugs where I couldn't see the opponent's cards. I had some bugs where they revived a card and then it's just invisible, and then I had to remember that there's an invisible card there and kill it off to win the game. That was super weird. And I also think that the game could be optimized for a viewer perspective, right? So this is something Hearthstone does very well. But if you are a casual viewer and you look, you kind of know exactly what's going on. It's really hard to do that. I do think this is doing a decent job. It's not horrible. Like, I think I could still figure out what's going on, but that's always something to make a little bit better. Where if someone's not paying attention to the game, can they tell what has happened at a glance, right? And that is not like super 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 clear. Also think the real estate could be used better. They have on the sides this like art on the left and right sides that you can scroll. I really feel like there should be better uses for that than just having random art there. It's a little bit weird. It's also like you have to hover over it, so it's not really noticeable unless you're actively doing that. So I do think that could probably be improved as well. When it comes to the gameplay loop, like playing, battling, Um, Generally, I would say it's pretty cool. The leader mechanic is interesting, and the heroes are unique enough, and the recruits are unique enough that it is pretty nice to see. Now, when it comes to balance, like I think there's a lot of balance problems, but I come in with the mindset of like what's broken and can I break everything. And I do feel there are some leaders and characters and tactics and spells blah 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 that are just like better than others, like significantly better. That I do think if you have the general populace play, we'll just have like 3 or 2 decks to like just beat everything else, and you have no variability. So I do think some things could be improved. There's just some leaders that are just like really bad, like just straight up like no shade to all right, like Black Adam thing is like not playable. It's too slow and things like that. There's just like, and then they're like Batman is really good, Aquaman is really good. Like it's like these cards, these leaders you can build around, and then so there's some leaders that are just like sitting there waiting to die. Especially leaders that don't have the ability to attack. I really feel like almost all the leaders should have a way to deal damage because that's how you deal with aggression. And if you're playing a leader that just like gives you a random spell that costs mana or energy and does no damage, da 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 da, and the other one's like hitting you for 20 for like 8 damage, it's just like this is really not a very balanced leader esque metagame. So I do think there's just some things that are broken in the game that need some adjustments, and obviously it's hard to understand things are broken when you're not at that skill level of like competitive professional players, which some of the streamers in here are. So it's like these people like immediately find out what's broken and then abuse it. So definitely think that could be improved. Hopefully, the monetary system also I think is like gonna be a problem because we get all the cards, right? So we're playing with all the cards. So essentially, so it's a lot easier to enjoy the game when you have everything. Like straight up, it's gonna be very easy. You get to test everything. Anything your opponent's doing, you can immediately do yourself if you think it's something you want to play with. So it's a lot easier to enjoy games that when you have everything here. So, but if you are uh, a casual or a new player or someone who doesn't want to spend a lot, I do think there's definitely a lot of room to struggle where their I guess economy of the game, you have to spend money to get everything. Basically, there's not an easy way to get a lot of things without spending money. There's a season pass that's going to give you some resources, and then there's just general resources that you can only collect through spending money. And anytime there's a resource that you can only collect through spending money, that's gonna put some people off, right? I played Hearthstone because I could, if I was good enough, I could play an arena. An arena, I could get resources without spending anything. And especially as a youngin, didn't have any financials at all. I was like, this is the only thing I can do, so that's what I did. And a game like this, right, where if I wanted to play competitively, I do think it was going to be a real struggle to kind of feel good about things if I'm missing a card, and the only way to get it is to spend money. So that's definitely something that you want to be aware of. Don't jump into these games and think, oh, I can do it for free if it's baked into the system where you need to be spending. So a big plus, I would say. Let's talk about some of the benefits, right? Comparatively. So the animations are better than Snap. Like Snap's animations are pretty low quality, to be fair. So like maybe that's not like an achievement here, but I'm gonna put it in. Like they have animations and they're useful. They're cool to look at. Their emotes also are animated, which I think is very something Snap could easily do, but very cool as well. And generally, there's a lot to do initially. Just playing with people, I do think there's a lot to discover, and it's also a new game. New games just have that fresh scent where like, oh, a lot of people are playing it, and also they've thought about adding draft and arena mode. And I've been talking about like Snap needs some type of draft format. where you can get to try cards, get to play without this like I need to buy everything mentality. So they have mentioned that that's going to be in the game, which is pretty cool. There's also a PvE section. For me, I don't care whatsoever about PvE. I will never use it unless there's rewards, but there are rewards, which are so if you don't have all the cards, right, you're gonna have to play the PvE, essentially. And that I don't love like being forced to play PvE. They did that in Mercenaries for Hearthstone. I was just like, get me out of this. I just want to play PvP. So that is something that is generally cool, right? There's a lot of different game modes where Snap doesn't really have any of that, but Hearthstone does. And I would say this is more similar to Hearthstone. And Hearthstone has the PvE section. Hearthstone has drafts and arena, so it's definitely more of a Hearthstone similar game with maybe the DC skin, right? And if you like DC, that's also going to be a plus for you. I don't know much about it, right? Superman's strong, like Batman's popular, like that's what I know. Like I don't know much, so generally those are some of the things I would say to be looking out for the game. Overall, like my first impressions, I think it's interesting, and I'll definitely play for the rest of the weekend. Once again, that free promotion, they've done a good job about that. But I don't know if something I would switch into unless the game becomes very popular and like I'm like, oh, a lot of people want me to make this. But other than that, like if it just becomes like fairly standard popularity and blah blah blah, I don't really see myself jumping over there. I think Snap is still really fun, has a lot going. Definitely waiting for Conquest, and I think obviously they did a very good timing where it's a lull where everyone's waiting for Conquest. If maybe Conquest came out the same time they're doing this weekend, it'd be harder to get people to play. But like, there's been a slight lull in Snap with nothing like new to do. So definitely a good idea from them, and they've done that well. But overall, it's been okay. Maybe I'll make another video like after the weekend's over and just like fully talked about it. But definitely a coolish game. And if you like Hearthstone gameplay, this might be something to look into. If you don't like Hearthstone and if you're looking for something to Snap, this is not it. Not it at all. So that's my initial impressions. Hope that made sense. Talk in the comments. Oh, if you want codes for next weekend, join the Discord /claim and then type DC keys. I have instructions. You can get keys for playing next weekend until I run out. So that's something you might want to do. But that's all. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Educated calling Snap. Once you watch him, you won't go back. He'll teach you to marvel, Snap. Your skill